Hi and welcome to another video update from the Fire Brigade Union here in the Union's head office in London. We're joined by General Secretary Matt Wrack to talk about a significant development in the Union's long-running fight to get justice for firefighters' pensions. Now Matt, there's an article in this month's Firefighter which talks about this development, and it all goes back to an employment appeals tribunal that the union took out. Can you let us know what happened?
Yeah, Tam, this relates to the transitional protection that was introduced when the government imposed the new 2015 firefighter pension scheme. So some members were protected, some members were not protected, depending upon how old they were at a particular point in time. So we took an employment tribunal case on behalf of several thousand of our members, alleging that they had unlawfully discriminated against our members. Now, the law says that they can discriminate lawfully as long as, firstly, they have a legitimate aim in what they're doing, and secondly, that the implications of what they then do are proportionate to that aim. So there's two aspects to it, and in our first employment tribunal case we lost both those points, so that's why we appealed the case.
But now fast forward to January, we took out an appeal in the Employment Appeals Tribunal, and that's been overturned, has it?
Yeah, the Employment Appeals Tribunal upheld our case, certainly on one of those points. So it found that the initial Employment Tribunal had not done anything to assess the implications of the transitional protection or the loss of the transitional protection to the members who were affected. So it didn't do anything to assess whether what they were doing was proportionate to the aims that they had. And we've won that point, and that means that that aspect gets referred back to the Employment Tribunal to reassess that issue. And we've got a lot of evidence about what is the impact of those changes to our members financially over time. We've got a huge amount of evidence that we have already presented, but we will now be able to present to that process.
Now Matt, this is clearly a very hot topic for so many of our members. Now I read the article in Firefighter in detail. It seems to suggest there could be a further appeal, but this time by the government, is that right?
Yes, it's complicated because there were two parallel cases, one involving ourselves and one involving a group of judges, and the judges had won their case in the first hearing, and the government appealed on that. So this appeal dealt with two parallel cases, our own and the judges. In one case we were appealing, in the other case the government were appealing. And in the other case, the appeal found that the government had a legitimate aim, but upheld the original ruling on that they had not, in that case, the government had not acted proportionally in how they treated the judges. So the judges have effectively won their case, because for them, having won the issue of proportionality, the question of legitimate aim doesn't really matter. But we will now raise that point in the appeal process. So there will now be an appeal process, and in that we will raise both those issues, the question of legitimate aim, and we will also obviously be addressing the issue of proportionality.
So Matt, we've been to the first Employment Tribunal, lost. We've now gone to the Employment Appeals Tribunal, won. But there's going to be a further appeal. Where's that going to be heard? Because it can't be at another employment tribunal, can it?
No, this now goes to the Court of Appeal, Tam, and I think members need to be aware this all takes a long time. You know, the legal process doesn't move quickly, so there will be registering of appeals, then finding dates and so on. So this will not happen very quickly. We need to prepare our case. As I say, we've got the evidence there. We've, for example, highlighted the cost to some of our members of, you know, £19,000 a year that people would have to set aside to match what they're losing in terms of pension rights. So we've got that evidence there. We're confident we've got a very good case to take back to the Court of Appeal.
Now, Mike, you mentioned the timescales, and we all appreciate it. With firefighters that sat out there, that joined this scheme, had it torn away from them by the government, and now it's a lengthy legal process. You must appreciate their frustration. Oh,
absolutely. I think, well, we know the whole thing's disgraceful, the robbery of people's pensions after they've paid into it for many, many years. It's just outrageous, the whole thing. I think what our members need to bear in mind is that we are the only union challenging this in this way, and who knows where this ends up if we're able to defeat the government on this legally. It opens up a whole number of other issues that they'll need to address. I think an important point to make is that when we went to the Employment Tribunal, we contacted the government in advance of the outcome of that, and we said, look, we're happy to negotiate this. I think we can do exactly the same again. Now that it's more difficult for the government, we need to say, look, we will sit down and negotiate improvements to what's happened to the benefit of our members, if the government's willing to do so. Otherwise, we end up in the Court of Appeal. And
what's the next steps then, Matt, in terms of timescales? You say it'll be a long time. You know, how long do members have to wait before this process comes through? Well,
I think we've had a briefing from our lawyers in the aftermath of the Employment Appeals Tribunal. We will now sit down with them and work out in detail the next stages, what we need to put together, whether there's further evidence we need to submit, and we'll provide regular updates to members on that.
Matt, thanks. And for all those updates on this vital issue, and indeed all the work that the union has undertaken, please go to our website, that's www.fbu.org.uk, or for more immediate updates you can follow us on Twitter, and that's @FBU National. Until next time, thanks, and thanks very much.